At the moment, there are more networking events than anybody can ever attend. If you are someone who attends networking events, you know that in every city of India or in every city of the world, there are more networking events than it's possible to attend. And I personally am not a huge fan of networking events, but a lot of the money I've made has stemmed from or has started from a networking event. In this video, I'm going to tell you the complete guide to networking events. You know, when I first went to networking events, it was so weird. I didn't know what to do. I would just stand in the corner, look at everyone, and then start talking to people, and everybody thought I was a crazy person. The first time I went for a networking event was in Dubai. It was a house party sort of event, house party / networking event, and I had no idea what to do, how to dress. So I wore a fancy t-shirt like this, much more flashy than this, and I wore red pants. It was how I would dress all the time back then. And then I walk into the event, and the first thing that happens is someone makes fun of my outfit. And that kind of derailed my whole mindset for the entire networking event. When in countries like India, it's kind of rare for, in a professional setting, for somebody to make fun of your outfit or for somebody to make fun of your appearance. But in Dubai, it was like, okay, people are just very, very open with what their opinions are, and they just said whatever they want to say. But after that, I spent a large amount of time going to networking events. When I had first gone to Dubai, I did not have a job, did not have any money, basically had very, very little money, and that couldn't sustain me for a large amount of time. But within about 2 weeks of going for networking events consistently every single day and then coming home and then networking people on LinkedIn, I managed to land a job that could sustain my expenses in Dubai such that, you know, I didn't have to come back to India. It also helped me get my visa later on, and I'm still living in Dubai because of what started from those networking events. The first thing you need to do is identify your goal, and everyone has different goals. Let's say you're a startup founder. Few potential goals are: 1, to find investors for your startup; 1, to find talent for your startup; 1, to find other startups that you can collaborate with. If you're a college student, then your goal is completely different. Your goal is probably to find an internship or find a job. Or if you're an investor, your goal is to filter through the insane amount of random startups who will approach you for funding. The most important thing when it comes to networking events, and this is something that I did wrong, is to not be available in all the events. If you're a startup founder and you're in every single networking event, people are going to assume that you're the kind of guy who just spends his time in networking events and does not really do any work. And it's the same if you're a student. If you're a student and you're basically available in all the networking events, people are wondering, what is he actually doing? Is he actually studying? Or even if he's not studying, is he actually working? Or is he just the type of guy who goes to 2-3 networking events a day, talks to people, has a free drink, has free food, and then just leaves? Being too available or being too easy to access will only be detrimental. Now I know that you want to be in more networking events, you don't talk to a large number of people, which is necessary, but a lot of it comes from being scarce. You want to be invited to all the networking events, but you want to not go to all of them, even if you're sitting at home and doing nothing. This is a kind of hack that I have now realized. Like, I get invited to probably 2 or 3 networking events every day when I'm back home, and I do not go to more than 1 networking event a week. So I have to, you know, even if I'm not doing anything, even if I'm just going to lay down in bed all day, I will tell people that, listen, I'm working, I don't have the time for this. Now, you know, one might say, oh, this is weird and why are you doing that? But it kind of builds your value. It kind of makes people want to see you, especially if you're the guy who's a bit charming and people enjoy your company in the networking events. It kind of builds your, you know, your value, and people, when they see you, they actually value you. A lot of founders, I know a few founders who are there in every single networking event in Dubai. They go from one networking event to another networking event to another networking event, and because they're so available, they've completely lost their respect. People are like, oh yeah, that guy is in all the events. But on the same time, if you're a founder, you want your investors to feel, you know, he's putting in an extra effort. You know, you want your investors to feel, see, he's trying to represent his company. So if you're a startup founder, what I would do is I would send somebody else from the team to do networking on my behalf. Now, granted, they might not be as good, but if they're wearing a company t-shirt and your investors are seeing that, you know, the founder is not here, but he sent somebody here, that will definitely be helpful. Now, if you're a college student, of course, this does not apply to you, but you still don't want to be too freely available. So when you go to a networking event, there are like 3 or 4 types of people. And my least favorite type of person is the guy who will go to a networking event, find another guy, and both of them will stand in the corner and talk through the entire duration of the networking event. If you wanted to talk to a guy, especially if you already know this guy, So if you wanted to talk to your friend, why would you come to a networking event? The point of a networking event is to meet a large number of people and to basically filter through them to get what you want out of it. I'm not a very transactional person. I like building long-term relationships, but networking events are by design not for this purpose. So let's say you're in a room of 100 people. Let's say you're in a room with 100 different people. They can be startup founders, they can be college students, they can be investors, etc., etc. Now, first you need to pick the niche as to who you want to talk to. So let's say if you're a college student, you want to pick the niche of startup founders because you really don't gain much by talking to investors and you definitely don't gain much by talking to other college students. So you have to be ruthless in filtering out people, but you also have to be extremely respectful and kind. So I would not go and say, listen, this is a waste of time and we don't want to do this. I would say, hey, what is that guy up to? And I just walked up to that guy. Or if there's a guy who's like, not talking to anyone, I'd say, hey, come join us. And then I'll kind of shift the conversation to the other guy. As long as you know your niche, as long as you are talking to enough people, if there's a room of 100 people, it's impossible or it's difficult to talk to all 100 people, especially if it's a small 1 hour kind of networking event. But you need to be able to talk to at least 25 to 30 people, and the rest of the 100 people should have seen you and remember your face or remember your outfit. When I go to networking events, I'm very, very thorough about what I want. So sometimes I do scouting for some VCs and advisory firms, and I definitely go to networking events with that purpose that I want to get a deal today. I go and talk straight to all the founders and I ask them, I basically start evaluating them directly in the networking event. And when they realize that I'm evaluating them because I can connect them to a potential investor, the whole frame of the conversation changes. And obviously don't be shy. Even if you're shy, even if you're an introvert, I'm truly pretty introverted. I just don't want you to be sitting in the corner and not talking to anyone, or the guy who just don't do that. Find the first person to talk to. When you find the first person to talk to, it'll be easier to talk to the second person and the third person and so on and so forth. And honestly, networking is a bit of a game of volume. You just need to do it over and over again and just break that barrier. The next thing, which is the most important thing, is to provide value first. So a lot of people kind of go to a networking event and then start talking about how they want a job, and the frame of the conversation becomes very weird. It's almost like a beggar's frame. It's almost like I'm begging you to please give me money. Even if I'm a good candidate, even if I'm better than the candidate that you currently have, I want the frame to be, listen, I've helped you with this. So if I'm in a networking event, the first thing I would do is I would just start general chit chat, and then I would instantly try to find a way where I can help him. So I'd ask some general questions about his work and then what he does, and then he'll say, I struggle with this. And my first thing I would do is, if you do this, wouldn't that change something? And now you don't want to be the cocky guy who seems like he knows everything, but you want to basically give more advice. And like, don't be shy with your knowledge. Some people say, I don't want to tell him the secret of marketing. No, the more you tell, the better it is, because giving advice is easy. The company is not paying you for your advice or for your knowledge. The company is paying you for you to implement your advice and knowledge. And the last thing is to keep the right frame. As I already mentioned, you don't have a beggar's frame, but there are other frames as well. You don't have the cocky frame. You want to have a frame where the startup founder or whoever you're talking to is interested in you and wants to know more about you. And creating that frame is definitely not easy. Creating that frame requires a lot of work, but if you go with the mindset that, I just hope I get a job today, it's not going to happen. In fact, I've gone to networking events with that mindset, and every time people would just kind of brush me aside and stuff like that. So the new mindset that I went with when I went to networking events was, let me just meet people and let me enjoy their company, and who knows what may come out of it in the future. And if you go with this mindset, the fact that you need a job, even though it will be apparent, people will not think of you as a random job seeker. The founder or the startup founder or the investor gets too many people asking them for things at all periods of time. The moment you become even slightly successful, everybody just wants things from you, and investors know this the most. If you're an investor, you get probably 100, 200 deals a month, and like 99 out of those are garbage. I hope this video helped you with networking events. If you're someone who struggles with probably social anxiety or being more active in networking events, do let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll make a second video on this topic. Thank you.